Okay? Our attempt is to keep the stems in the staff. So we arbitrarily picked this note right here, B in treble clef, D in bass, and we decided that that one can go either way. It can either go down, and by the way, if you're drawing stems, if you are going down, it's at the left of the note head. If you're going up, it is at the right of the note head. And each of them should be about 2.5 staff lines long. Okay? So, starting from here, here's 1 staff line, 2 staff line, and that's supposed to be about 1/2. All right? After we get away from the middle line, which is B or D, C, D, and E would all be down. F would be down, etc. Any of the ledger lines would be down. From there, if we want to start the other way, A is just below the middle line, so it would be up. G, F, E, D, and any ledger lines would be up. Since the B can go either way, you get to choose what looks best in the measure for it. In other words, if you have a B, and then the rest of the measure notes are down stems, you would of course choose a down stem for B. If you had a B and everything else in the measure were up stems, you would of course use the B as an up. Now there is an exception to this rule, and that is when you're trying to save space by writing 2 different parts in the same staff. Happens to everybody. Nobody's exempt from it. But for instance, if you are a choir member and the composer only wants to use 2 staffs, he'll put both the bass and tenor on the bottom staff and the soprano and alto on the top staff. And it does not matter where the soprano sings. In that case, the stem actually tells us who is to sing the soprano part, so that they have to be up stems. The altos, no matter how low they get, will still be down stems. Now, sometimes the composer will use a piano approach or a piano setting, which will supersede that, and he will just hope that the sopranos will always know you sing the highest note and the alto will sing the bottom note. And if you write it with the as if it were a piano staff, it will of course turn everything the right direction. If you're a trombone player and we're trying to, let's see, how many, we just have the 2 today? 3, sorry, there's 3.
Here somewhere 3 to 5.
Oh, okay.
We're all sitting right next to each other.
That's really scary too. And we're trying to save paper. We give trombone 1 the up stems, no matter how high trombone 1 goes. And trombone 2, we even put the rests in the lower than normal place that you put rests. And then no matter how low trombone 2 goes, it still goes with a down stem, and that's how you tell who plays what note. At the very beginning, they will write a 1 and a 2, but after that, you're on your own. You just have to know if it's an up stem, it's a first trombone part. If it's a down stem, it's a second trombone part. That's all you ought to know about stems. Because that's all I know about stems. I guess I should have probably spoken of the beams too. Things are a little different if you're using a computer program and doing stems. The computer program will do it very similar to that, and it will make lines or beams fat enough that you can tell the difference between a beam or a 16th note. When you use a pencil, sometimes you don't have the ability to make them fat enough, so I'm going to recommend that you do it this way. I like to see you make a beam that expresses the line. Okay? Like that. It's important that you're careful not to project something opposite or send a mixed message. You may have seen this before because not everybody pays attention to it, but I think it looks kind of funny. The line or the music is going up, but the beam is going in the opposite direction, which sends you a mixed message. So it should go the same direction. Now, here's one caution I'll have you look at. If you have repeated notes that are the same pitch, it's still a good idea to put a little bit of a slant on the beam if you are doing it by hand, because if this was a black pen, this would probably make things a lot easier to understand. When you draw that line that shows exactly the same height as the staff, it's kind of hard, and if this were black instead of green, it would be difficult for you to tell whether those are 8th notes or 16th notes, because this line kind of looks like the second part of the 16th note line. So safer, if you're writing it by hand, is to put just a little bit of a pitch on the 8th notes, so that it doesn't go parallel with lines. If you have a bunch of notes that should be down stems and only one that should be up stems, don't try to fight and make things so fancy that you come out doing exactly the rules. It's much better just to go ahead and take an average. And the average is 3 notes have a down stem, so make the 4th note the same way. Okay? Rather than something like you'll see some of that. And I think the only time you ever see it is when they program something into the computer that says everything below B has to be an up stem, and so it creates those weird stems, and nobody is checking to see that, and it ends up being published that way. But that's pretty weird. All right, dynamics. Thank you for allowing me to bathe my sore throat with warm apple cider. It's kind of mean to drink that in front of you, but I'm trying to battle off a sore throat. I think you probably all know your dynamics. Would I be safe in saying that? Where's Elizabeth today, I wonder?
She's all like, I don't like singing.
No, I'm sorry, I'm talking about Elizabeth Gassman, who would never be caught singing, I'm pretty sure. I don't know where she is. I should let you know that this book is actually addressing something that is more contemporary. If you read that second